Hello my lovely Sagittarian friends, I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer. Welcome to my channel, list of essential oils and their uses. Today I'm going to do a reading for you Sagittarians for July 2020 using my Tongue of the Trees cards. Now, these were originally created as tools to help with mental and physical healing. And they're designed to go back to the source of a problem, but over the months of using them I've realised that if I look at the planetary transits, I can also move forward to think about these transits and the way that they trigger our minds and emotions and these lessons that we're trying to learn, and how we can use the essential oils to be able to transit those. I am a medical astrologer, and so it's my pleasure today to do this reading for you. So I will start by shuffling the cards. Ooh, this one needs to come out. So these first two, this was first, grapefruit and sweet marjoram. First time sweet marjoram has been out today. What a lovely one to start with. Lovely, confident solar plexus medicine of grapefruit. Sweet fennel is number 3. I'm going to call out 13 cards. As I say, they originally was a blend, a spread for psychological healing, which goes round like the rings of a tree, spiral back to the centre of the trauma that might be causing physical pain, like a thorn. I call it the issues in the tissues. How can we allow that thorn to be able to merge up and break out of the tissues? And so we're working on 13, prime number. Number 4 for you is Scots pines. Come out a lot. It's interesting, this card. The leaves in particular are fascinating to me at this time because they're very prevalent, and we see them. These kind of oils are great for respiratory medicine. So at a time when we have COVID and we need coughs and colds and helping breathing, it's really fascinating to see how many of the antibacterial and respiratory oils keep popping up. But essential oils don't just have physical properties. They don't have side effects. They have many main effects. So while we're using the pine to help us breathe more easily, what other stuff's going on? What emotional stuff, mental, spiritual? Because plants, and by extension their essence, are fantastic teachers. So what other teachers are coming forward for you, Sagittarius? Oh my goodness. Angelica. She is the old life and the new. We'll look closely at her and see where she comes out. And this is a nice one. She says, whatever obstacles there are, what if we could overcome them? I wonder what she's come out for you. Pomerosa, making adjustments. Cinnamon, how lovely. Cinnamon is spicy and hot and difficult to use, but always has your back. Got a lot of protectors here. Oh, the sentinel of the protectors, Atlas cedarwood. The Egyptians used to use cedarwood to make the gateways to their temple so that they could go away from the old stuff and into an arcane sacred space. Clary sage. Definitely clairvoyance from the point of spirituality and psychicness, but also means clear sight. Know what you are seeing is not being influenced. We'll go deeply into these. Here and now, sisters. That usually comes up if there's trauma. Positivity. Beautiful. What number are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is where you are now. Nice way, nice things to feel right now, Sagittarius. Wow, manifestation card. Beautiful. So, wow, you've got such a diverse spread. Sometimes we get all leaves or all flowers or all seeds because they have their own kind of healing groups, if you like, but yours is right spread across. So as I say, these were created by myself and Hungarian aromatherapist Gergely Halodi. And when we were creating them, we realised that there was a large chunk of learning missing from aromatherapy. It was in lots of little places, but it hadn't been brought together, and that was the energetics of an essential oil. So, for example, is it heating or cooling or drying or dampening, but also the traditional Chinese medicine, the Ayurvedic medicine. And from my point of view, I always see things through the lens of medical astrology. And so if we were to pick up a card, let's talk about Clary Sage, ruled by the moon and Mercury. So what does that mean, and how does that play out? And it's interesting. This is a time when Mercury goes retrograde and goes direct. So Mercury moves about a lot and affects communication, and you've got a mercurial card come out. So as I say, I'm going to turn the camera around now, and I will show you your reading. Hi Sagittarius, couple of apologies before we start. Firstly, the state of my nails. Tried to paint them yesterday, but the dog jumped on them, so that was just out of the question. And secondly, you can't see all of the cards, but I will bring them into focus as we go on. Now you can see the layout of the cards, and this, even though the reading goes ahead, you probably how to use the oils won't make much sense. So at the end of the reading, what I'm going to do is put up some slides with some suggested recipes for you based on what I have seen. So if you remember, the Ring of the Trees spread of the Tongue of the Trees cards is like a spiral. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And it's designed to show the evolution of the tree, but also of you over the month. And as the cards come out, when you pull them out one at a time, it's very difficult to see trends in it until it's laid out. But looking at this and knowing the transits that happen in your horoscope, it's very clear to see this is all about money to me. So it's an interesting astrological month anyway, in that on the 2nd of the month, Saturn retrogrades into Capricorn, which is your 2nd house, which is your financial house. And Jupiter and Pluto are already conjunct in that house. And then on the 5th of the month, we also have a lunar eclipse again in your money area. So I think what we're going to see here is quite an uncomfortable month, but in a really great way. And remember that if it feels comfortable, then no change is happening. So this discomfort is fantastic because you know things are changing and shifting, and there's beautiful oils here to help you with that. And I think why it's going to feel uncomfortable is because the eclipse in particular, but right the way through the month, is going to shine a light on things you are not comfortable with money from all different perspectives. Now, the interesting thing is that the first card to come out, if you look at it from a physical point of view, grapefruit is great legs, cellulite, breaking down fat, that kind of thing. It's about getting lean. It's about confidence on an emotional level, but from a spiritual level, if you think that it's ruled by Leo and Capricorn, well, Capricorn is accounting and Leo is wealth and all things you know, royal and exuberant and luxurious, and that's right at the beginning of your reading. But what's at the end of your reading is Neroli, which is ruled by Venus, which is also wealth. So what we're seeing right the way through is your attitudes changing towards it. So what's interesting is your first step goes to a card that an oil that I would use when somebody was upset. The poem that goes with them in the Tongue of the Trees cards is about rocking somebody to and looking after them and understanding that it's about empathy really, and admitting that things have gone very, very wrong and being clear with yourself about blame And that means not blaming yourself when you are to blame, but also taking responsibility when you are. And that's a hard journey for anybody, you know. None of us want to feel our weaknesses, but that's what eclipses do, you know. And so it feels arduous. And when things are arduous, then they take a lot from us. And so you've got beautiful support from Sweet Fennel, because that says, right, if we were running a marathon and it was 26 miles long, you've hit 25.5 miles and you are not going to make it without some help. And so I am here to pick you up. So if you can see, tiny little friend from the roses crawling over us. But what we've got here is this beautiful yellow solar plexus stuff going on. The Sweet Fennel is completely about identity, about willpower, sheer willpower to make this happen, you know. But what's interesting here is this almost feels like this is not necessarily your bank account that we're thinking about, because Scots pine, the pine trees, if you look at a pine forest, they grow in a way where they're all pretty much the same size, and any saplings that are not getting any light, then they struggle, you know. And so it's about distribution of abundance. So when we see it like as a respiratory medicine, it's about, quite often, if somebody responds to Scots pine for a bad throat, and I have to reverse engineer to say, right, okay, well, what might that have been all about? Sometimes it's about not speaking out that you don't think you've been treated fairly, or that somebody else is being treated fairly. So I think that this might be about distribution of wealth. And at this time in history, of course, I think everybody feels that way anyway, but I think you are going to feel very, very strongly that you want to really think about what could be. You're a noble sign anyway, you know. Sagittarius really wants the best from life, very philosophical sign. And I think that we might have a case of the microcosm and the macrocosm here, that you're starting to feel it in your bank account, but also you're thinking, but if this is me, then what is it on a wider scale? That hurts me to think of that. And like I say, we definitely seeing discomfort. It's not, this isn't bad stuff. This is not going to be, you got an empty bank account at the end of it. In actual fact, to me, this says you're going to have a very full bank account at the end of it, but it's not because money's flowing to you. It's because you're analysing things and looking and saying, I could do that better. I definitely could do that better. And really looking at the stuff that you think, I don't like that. That doesn't feel, that feels uncomfortable to look at that, you know. And here, I don't know if you can see that down there. Angelica's ruled by the Pisces Aries cusp. And so if we think of like Aries as the hero's journey, this is the birth time, you know, the first part on a quest. And so that cusp is that moment from the end of the life. In other words, right, I'm going to put this back at right, and this will stay with me for the rest of my life. And you have that much. It's not just about resolutions. It's about determined life changings, that things will never go back to the way they are. But Angelica doesn't come out because easy times. It comes out in hard times. So potentially while you're looking at stuff, this might feel really very deep and hurtful. That says to me long ramifications of the decisions that you're going to make. And also that means from the past and for the future, that you think that this has been here for such a long time and I'm going to really struggle to make these changes, and there will be ramifications right through my my family and through my history. But also that kind of is, if we're talking about old life and new life, that says to me maybe these are inherited attitudes that you're looking at, and you're thinking, well, actually I'm treating money just the way my mum and dad did, and I hate watching them behave in that manner, and I'm playing that out, or I'm reacting to it. Maybe this comes from something that is before your history with money, that you've inherited it from society or from people around you. And so Angelica is very good at being able to say, look at your roots. You know, this is Angelica root that we use. Go deep, deep inside and we will protect you. You know, this is a deeply shamanic oil. This is the cusp is the window or the doorway to a different place. So that's always going to be very, very scary. But Angelica always says, I got you. I've got you. This is bad stuff, but great stuff on the other side, and I've got you. And so when we're doing that kind of stuff, we can think, well, I'm in a cul-de-sac, really. I've been up here before and I just don't know how to get over this hurdle at all. I have no idea how to smash my way through. It feels karmic. It feels like I'm always here, you know. And with money, maybe that's a glass ceiling, or, you know, you're in the poverty belt, or you just, I know there's lots of people in aromatherapy, for example, that say, I've done aromatherapy all my life and never made a penny for it. And so, but that attribute straight away, that attitude projects forward, you know, that it becomes self-fulfilling, that you're putting it out there all the time. I'm never going to make a penny. I'm never going to make a penny. Now, lemongrass is such a powerful oil for breaking those situations. And right the way through in a minute, you'll see loads of breaking, loads of smashing apart. But lemongrass says, I understand you've got a situation here, a hurdle, a massive, massive obstacle to get over. And if we said we understand A, B, C, D, E, agree with them and all take them all into account, I'm still going to say to you, what if? What if that could be overcome? What if we could find a way to do it? What if I say to you, there is definitely a way around this. You just haven't seen it yet. And its beautiful, sharp, fresh fragrance is so good at bringing about new creativity, new innovation, new stuff that almost doesn't feel like it comes from this plane. It's so inspired, so outside of our consciousness. And suddenly you go, well, I don't know where I even thought of that from. I'll tell you now where you thought about it from. You thought about it from lemongrass every single time. But what's interesting is, let's just show you that in this layout, I usually find that cards 3 and 7 are the power cards. It's a 13 card layout because I work with prime numbers such a lot. So obviously 11 is important and 13 is vitally important, as is 1. But 3 and 7, they usually feel like the ones that make the difference. But looking at this spread, and I'll show you what the difference is in a minute, but looking at this spread, you've also got it from the opposite point of view. Because if I was going to meditate and say, right, I'm going into a dark place here, because this is an uncomfortable place, that no doubt about it, dark shit is coming up here with these attitudes. These are the guys I would want on my side. And I'll put these into a blend for you, because if it starts to feel really troublesome, these are the ones that I would want protecting my back, definitely. But in your here, these are the power ones, these two, and this one is absolutely cutting the ties with the past. Cutting the ties with the things that are painful, that are holding you back. And Palmarosa says, I'm going to call on the Archangel Michael to use his sword and cut that tie. So this is really strong stuff. This is not just about talking of thinking, right, I'm contemplating it, I'm thinking about it. It's darkly going in and going, I'm dealing the shit out of that, saying goodbye to it. Now, that takes bravery. There's no doubt about it. Changing the way that you have been through your life takes bravery. And remember, lunar eclipses take things away that are no longer useful to you. They're outdated. And well, I don't know about you, I'm a Cancerian. I find them terrifying. I really do. I think, oh, sometimes I'll be spending days upon days thinking, well, maybe it's this it's going to take, maybe it's that it's going to take, maybe it's the other. And if you feel like that, then cinnamon is really, really useful, because it's a very unpredictable oil. It's predictable in its unpredictability. It's ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is about deception, but it's also got a joint ruler of the moon. And both of those places are thoughts and deep, deep stuff, deception, illusion. But when you use cinnamon, you're able to trick your mind into just behaving the way that you want it to do. And the way that you want it to do is to say, right, I'm all right with this. I can do this. I can whitewater the right raft right the way through this. And you can trick your mind into thinking it, even though actually you really feel incredibly scared about the thing. But I have to say, there's nothing in this reading that says fear. It just says hard stuff. But if you want to ride the wave and go, I am absolutely going full pelt into this, and I am going to submerge as deep as I can, use cinnamon. And like I say, we'll put recipes up there, but if you've got the oil, just breathe it in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Do it for 5 minutes. Sooner or later, those volatiles go straight to the brain, touch on the amygdala, which is the center of your fear, and start to comply with the trust element that cinnamon gives there. Now, where does that take us? Well, we're going from trust, and now we're going to certainty. I mean, that's one hell of a journey, isn't it? From tricking the mind to feeling very, very safe and certain that everything will turn out right. Now, cedarwood is a very ancient tree and an ancient medicinal healer. And the ancient Egyptians used to use cedarwood for many things. I don't know if you know, there aren't any actual indigenous trees in Egypt. So the ancient Egyptians spent a small fortune on buying timber and from other cultures and civilizations. And they spent many, many thousands of pounds or dollars or whatever an ancient Egyptian money was on the cedars of Lebanon. And what was that for? It was to build their boats, because they made very strong, reliable boats. But also it was to build the doorways to their temples. And if you go to Egypt and you have a look at some of the old temples, quite often you can see a tiny little nub of wood left behind, that it hasn't rotted all of this time, and it stayed steadfast there because it is a sentry, always very, very guarding. And I think the most powerful medicine of the cedarwood, in particular Atlas cedarwood, is that it really deals with negative thoughts. And if you imagine that you are going into that temple and you close the door behind you, and everything outside of that sacredness is shut outside, and as you go in, it feels enormous inside, so spacious, so quiet. None of the nagging, none of the nagging. And this is going to become important to have this meditative space in a moment, and I will show you why. But here it says, leave all of your doubts, all of your worries, all of this stuff outside. Go into a sacred space with cedarwood. Imagine that the stained glass windows and the sun is shining in, and you are just illuminated, and in those windows you see what you've got to do. And quite often in those kind of spaces, I think what you see is the interesting sides of you, the stuff that is innate and spiritual and quintessentially you. And I think that it's important to point out that I think lots of people forget that they were brought here for a reason, and nobody else on the planet can do what you do in your perfect way. And maybe as you look up into the stained glass, what you'll see is your inherent abilities and something that you could really turn into money, whether that would be, you know, you've got a skill or you've got a service that you can give to people, and you think, right, okay, well, I can turn that into something. And I think these moments of quiet, to take this quiet time, especially at the beginning of the month, because remember that Mercury is retrograde, and whilst we don't want to sign contracts, or we're worried that things our travel will be disturbed, although who's travelling at the moment, what it's a great time to do is to go inside and look back. And if you can look back and think, do you know, I was good at that, I liked doing that, that came easily to me, then the chances are you have found a source of income. And here, normally I would give a disclaimer about this card, and I would say, we don't necessarily mean clairvoyance as meaning psychic. We mean mind that your hormones aren't tricking you, or your mind's not tricking you. But I think in this reading, it absolutely does mean clairvoyance. It means clear intuition. It's really going to come through to you as this is your time to step forward. This is how the universe gives a gift back to you. This is how you can make some money. And again, that's meditative as well. Certainly, that's your quiet space of time. But now, I want to say the warning, I think, that comes with it probably comes from Sisters. Sisters usually says to me, trauma. Trauma in the past, though, and I really want you to hold on to that. That if you're thinking, well, you know, maybe this here is, well, I've been there before, I've tried it before, it didn't work. Well, maybe the time was wrong, because now Sister says traumas can be released, and this is about now. Look at now. It's not the same as it was before. And I think even though we can tell our conscious mind that, it's very hard to let traumas go. You know, we wouldn't have this awful problem with PTSD right through across the planet if that were not true. But this is a PTSD oil, definitely. You know, this is one of the most powerful essential oils for lifting trauma. So if you think, well, okay, I am really trying very hard to let go of this, but it keeps coming back, this hurt, this, I just can't get, this is holding me back, I can't get it out of my mind, it's always in the background of my mind, then Sisters is a beautiful oil to go and get to sort out. So we're going from here to here to here, and it's very interesting to see your fruits. You start with the fruit. You've got a bulb here, although sweet fennel comes from the seeds. You can see by the time it's gone to seed, it's fruited. You've got the fruit of the cedarwood tree. Your cinnamon's got fruit on. The lemongrass has come to fruition. The angelica's come to fruition. Everything here says come to fruition. And this is just so positive, you know. When you look at the layout of the cards, if you go on to get the knowledge base that goes with the cards, you're able to see not only the planetary medicine, but also the traditional Chinese medicine rulerships of the elements. And what I can tell you is there's an awful lot of wood and earth here. Wood is branching out, doing new stuff. Earth is the importance of the abundance. And being able to fruit and to fulfill one's potential is so important. It's important for the planet because that's what you are here to do. But if we think of the elements and we think, well, winter is coming. Winter does come. It always comes. Whether we have it every 6 months, it comes round and we get, you know, each year we get a winter. Or we think of the winter of our life. Think about if one has not achieved anything, it's so much harder to let go. And earth energy is about abundance. That doesn't necessarily mean about money. Of course, I think in this reading it's almost certainly money, but it's about love and relationships and success generally. And this here, Venus says you got it all, baby. You just got it all. That's wealth, love, abundance. And whilst we say observation, I'm going to say to you, observe your thoughts. Observe that they are positive because of everything. And Neroli says, I'll take away anxiety and I'll make your thoughts manifest. If you are thinking, this never works out, I'm not happy about this, I'm not dealing with this, I'm going to hold on to it, Neroli will go, all right then. Next time this medicine comes around, I'll teach it you again. Venus really wants you to succeed. She really wants you to have wealth and beauty and abundance, and your key is going to be cutting that tie with whatever is holding you back. That's a beautiful reading, absolutely beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some slides up with some recipes for you, and you can blend some and help you use them to help you through this month, and hopefully I'll see you for your August reading. So I hope you found that useful. They're very weird, these cards. When I designed them and Gegle asked me to write the translations to his to his Hungarian poems, I had to listen to the plants all over again, and to hear them speak to me was very strange and stressful, and I didn't like it, and I didn't think they'd be good. When I got them in my hands and started to work with them, I found them extraordinary. And I hope that you do too. Now, obviously, if you are not a regular follower of my channel because you're not an aromatherapist, like and subscribe now, and comment and share, please. Also, in the description, you will find how to buy the Tongue of the Trees cards, but also how to buy the knowledge base. And remember that they are separate. The cards are available from Fragrant Earth in Glastonbury, and soon will be available from Amazon. So just keep watching, because as soon as they are, you'll get a link in the link below, and that's Amazon UK just at the moment. The knowledge base is a digital platform, and so the second that you pay me £45, I can send it down to you, and there is over 40 different videos in there looking at all aspects of the oil. Also, make sure that you check out my books. If you're a beginner to essential oils, look at download my free book from Amazon, The Complete Guide to Clinical Aromatherapy and the Essential Oils of the Physical Body. Snappy title. I've regretted it ever since I did it. But also, if you are a beginner to essential oils and you're starting to really enjoy them, but you're not confident, perhaps also look for the recipe hub that goes with the Tongue of the Trees. Totally unrelated to any of the readings that we've done, but it's using the cards to make recipes. There's just around about 200 recipes in there, how to make treatments for body lotions, for shampoos, for anything you can think of, from bronchitis to, I can't think of something from beginning with Z, sunburn. Right the way across. So yeah, have a look, go and have a look at my website. And incidentally, if you would like me to do you your own personal reading, if you have a look on my website, thesecrethealer.co.uk, there is a link for consultations. Book an hour-long personal consultation, and yeah, I'll do your own reading. For now, thank you for being generous and all the nice things that you've said, and I look forward to doing your August readings.
So you get your phone, you turn it this way up, and then there's a little red subscribe button. Turn it grey by clicking it, and then there's a little bell. Click that and press all at the bottom of your phone or tablet or computer. It will say you will receive all notifications. And then there's a little hand with a thumbs up. Click that, it'll turn it blue and it says added to your liked videos. And there will be comments, and if you want to, you can send a comment and say like hi's to Mum and Gergely. And then the link to the next video will be in the description below underneath the video. So bye.